Uh, Hi. First, just wanted to say I really loved the film. I saw it last night at one of the screenings. And,
Oh, cool.
yeah,
Which one did you go to?
I went to the first one, so the quick Q&A, and then we were rushed out the fire exit. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I just wanted to pick up on one thing that you kind of said in the Q&A, and that you said that your producer Dino wanted to make a stop motion film specifically. I was wondering if there was any point in the production where it could maybe have been done in a different medium of animation, and what the puppetry kind of gained over these other mediums that you could have maybe done.
It was never not stop motion. It was always we approached Charlie with the idea of doing it as a stop motion movie because that's what we do at Starburns is stop motion. I mean, well, not, Starburns as a company does other stuff, but Dino and myself and Rosa are stop motion people. And that's what we do. We're puppets. Yeah, we're stop motion people. So, we've talked about this. I mean, obviously other mediums or forms of animation or live action, this story probably could have... We could have told this story in anything, yeah. But it would have been something different, and this is what it is. But we feel that the stop motion aspect of it brings a dreamlike quality, and we like the aspect of being able to quite literally feel the impact of the animator manipulating these real three-dimensional objects that exist in real space and time, and the quality that brings to the film. And
yeah, you kind of said in the questionnaire the other day how it's kind of the actors feel like they're being controlled in a way because of that.
Yeah,
and it is more like a live action movie than other forms of animation because it takes place in literal space with literal figures, that sets, and it's not drawn. It's there. You light it. You light the figures, and you move them through sets, and
it's the most practical form of animation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to talk about in another interview. You kind of talked about how it's that the animators actually do the acting in a way, and that they're picking the different aspects of it. And I wanted to know if there was a kind of favourite quirk that any of the animators added into the film that kind of stood out to you.
I mean, the one that I've mentioned before and that comes to mind is when Lisa's about to sing. And she covers her face because she's embarrassed, and then she says, "Don't laugh at me." And she lifts her. That was added by the animator, and I think it had to do with the fact that there were no eyelids for her to close at that point. But I think it's a beautiful moment, and that was I don't know who the animator was who did that.
Adam Fisher.
Yeah, I was gonna call him Red Snapper.
Red Snapper.
He's redheaded, and that's his bowling title when we went bowling as a studio.
Do you remember any others? Any great animated?
Moments?
Yeah.
I thought you were like other bowler names.
I'm really confused.
I think, other little...
What about Misha and the Eyes of the Podium?
Oh, that's something that, the funny thing about that is I hated it, and then I was like... And then Charlie saw it, and Charlie loved it, and I was like, "Oh shit!" But now I love it, and but it was.
It's a great moment.
There's this animator that did this. Michael rubs his eye, and when he rubs his eye, there's if you pause it on one frame, it's one eye's looking this way and one eye's looking that way, and the eye kind of snaps back into place. And
if you rub your eye, it does that
in
real life, and he animated that, and it's just this beautiful little thing.
But it's if you pause it on one frame, it just looks like... Right.
It's kind of like the other animation, like the Pixar Blink. It's kind of slightly off, but in a way that makes it look more realistic.
Yeah.
I was just, and another one was, there were a lot of really long tracking shots in that. It's kind of, you don't really see that in a lot of stop animation films, and I was wondering if they were harder to make than the usual things, in that they kind of go from the lobby to the lift to the hotel room. I was wondering if that was harder to construct than other shots.
It was extraordinarily difficult to construct, especially,
Dangerous,
yeah. And these cameras, some of these shots are, some of the shot, that going in the lobby, into the elevator, up to the hallway, down the hallway, into the hotel room was very complicated. But in some sense, it's even more complicated to do just a very long, slow, straight push in on a scene, which we had some of those as well, because it's many, many thousands of frames of a camera moving a fraction of a millimeter, and them animating it, you know, because even though it exists in three-dimensional space, and a lot of times you're animating it for a two-dimensional image, so you can cheat a lot, but when the perspective is slowly changing, it's always changing, and you have to check it. It's just very complicated.
The one that really stood out for me with that was the shower shot, where it's sort of slowly tracking into panning, and I thought, did you have to measure that almost every single step of the way, then say the camera moves 1 millimeter then another? Or...
Yeah, that has to be meticulously measured out, and again, it's super complicated because, you know, the camera, they figure it out, and then they plan the camera, and then that's set. It's not adjustable, and so animation, a lot of times when you're stop motion animating, it kind of takes a life of its own, and it can end up faster or slower. But here you have the character has to move. It goes into the shower, and then he walks over to the mirror, and he's got to be perfectly in sync with the camera, and also it's changing perspective. That's extremely difficult for an animator to do.
And that was definitely, I felt you could really tell just the craft of the animation for it. They're more so than almost most other films where you said they kind of blur out bits of it with digital effects.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
Cool.
Yeah, also just kind of going off that, it's how detailed were the storyboards in that? Were they more? Was it just because of creative control or budget in that you had to figure out every single shot to save as much money as possible?
I think it's generally the way it's done, but we had the additional concern that we had no money, and at that point we had zero money because we just had the Kickstarter money when we were doing that. We had no idea if we were going to get more money, and there was no way we were going to finish the movie, or even really begin the movie if we didn't get more money. So it was pretty. It was detailed. I mean, it was down to the shot, down to the frame.
Yeah. Also, just on the kind of budget and money side, were there any aspects of the film that you attempted to maybe remove in order to help it sell a bit more? So kind of the nudity or any other aspect, like the swearing, or
we knew we wanted it R.
Yeah, we didn't change anything. We didn't make any concessions to rating. We wanted R. We got an R, which is in the United States is. I don't know what that is here. But
I don't know if it's a 15 or 18 here, but
you can only go with a guardian or a parent if you're under 18.
Yeah, I think there was, we didn't censor ourselves. We didn't want the sex scene to be more gratuitous or something than it is. We just wanted it to be an accurate portrayal of what it is, and I think that there was some concern that maybe it would be NC-17 just because we don't know, how the rating system works. But we were relieved when it was an R.
It was kind of strange sitting in the cinema because there's the shower scene that I mentioned where he kind of steps out and you see him for the first time fully naked, and you kind of hear the audience go, "Oh!" They don't expect to see this puppet completely naked. But I was just wondering as well with it kind of ends with this massive voices at the end going over the credits, and you talked about it in the Q&A about how it's like the audience in a way. But I was wondering if you wrote all the individual lines yourselves.
No, we just worked with Tom. This is something we did after the movie in post-production. We went in and I was in a booth having a conversation with Tom. I wasn't being recorded, but he could hear me in his headphones, and so we just did a lot of that. And Tom just talked, and we just our editor pieced it together into this sort of massive cacophony.
Great. Just kind of again with the sound, is that I know it was based off an audio play, and you talked about that briefly in the Q&A, but I was wondering if there were any other kind of audio tricks that you kind of played within the film, just kind of make it harken back to where it was based.
No, I think we did the voices at the beginning over black. Was a little bit of a sort of a tip of the hat to the audio play.
We did actually. The original audio play had a Foley artist live on stage, creating the Foley sounds. We actually ended up using the same Foley artist from the play, and they did do something that's fairly unique. Is they went to real locations to record some of the Foley, as opposed to just a Foley stage to get really clean audio. They went to actual hallways and stuff to get some of the sound to make it.
We wanted the sound to be dirty. We wanted it as much as we can to make this environment feel like it really existed, rather than sort of this sanitized animation environment.
You could definitely tell there were. I don't think I've heard characters breathe so much in an animated film.
That was
than
something
this
that
one.
we paid a lot of attention to. We animated all of the breathing, all of the mouth noises that they made. Those are always cut out in animation, so that was kind of fun.
Great. And again, with kind of still keeping with the audio, there are lots of different kind of songs throughout, as in just sung. And I was wondering if they were different at any point, if you had different songs in mind, or if they were kind of stuck from the beginning.
The song that she sings was originally "My Heart Will Go On" in the play. We couldn't get the rights to that, so we had to find something else, and ended up with something that was better. We all think. Everything else was the same in terms of music. The song at the end that Tom sings over the end credits was in the background in the bar, and obviously wasn't at the end of the play, but we added the whole thing at the end of the play.
And also I was wondering if you wrote the Japanese song at the end.
No, that's a traditional Japanese folk song.
Okay.
Yes. So, and that was in the play, and that's Jennifer singing.
And so, one kind of thing that I wanted to, like, a kind of final question is that you talked again in another interview about breaking the cycle of having like films that people are easy to consume, and then people make films that are easy to consume, etc. I was wondering if there were any films in particular, or animators or writers at the moment that you thought were kind of helping to do this.
Don Hertzfeldt.
Yeah, we like Don Hertzfeldt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's others, but
yeah, of course there are.
It's a struggle.
Yeah, it's a struggle for people to free themselves of the constraints of the industry. It's very expensive to make movies, and it's very hard to get movies made if you're trying to do eccentric stuff. So.
And they would. Those films are definitely all the way out there, aren't they? With Hertzfeldt.
Yeah, and and he does it himself. So that makes it, I guess, cheaper.
You know, the
I would
thing
imagine.
about
It takes years sometimes, right?
The thing about Don Hertzfeldt like stuff is that it feels very consumable to me. I don't know, like it's very funny, it's entertaining. It's not like it's like a difficult film to watch or something.
Yeah, not at all.
I don't know. It's I think it's just like I guess what I'm trying to say is, even along with our film and Don Hertzfeldt's stuff, like I think if a wide audience went to see it, if you could just force them to go to the theater, that they would enjoy it. But there's like sort of a stigma.
Or if they could get over the idea of what animation is supposed to look like, and that's not what I want to see. That's not Disney or.
Yeah, there's definitely an idea of animation just being for children in this kind of area of the world.
And very polished,
Yeah.
very sort of, which Don stuff obviously is not intentionally, which is what gives it its energy, I think. But yeah.
Kind of going off the thing that if you just got mass audiences to watch this film, they kind of enjoy it. Is that a lot of the humour kind of based off just general annoyances with people? I was wondering if they were based kind of off real conversations that you've had with, say, taxi drivers or stuff like that, or if it's just stuff that you kind of came up with.
Not really. No, I mean, the idea of someone talking to you a lot when you don't want to be talked to, I guess, is sort of the cab driver thing, but it's not a specific conversation. I mean, I read about Cincinnati, and it seemed to be the zoo and the chili seemed to be a big thing, so I decided that the cab driver would talk about it and insist on it, and
Thank you very much for
Thank you very much.
taking the time to talk with me.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I assume you probably want to go off to like lunch and everything. They said that you were waiting for it.
This was
said that
a pleasure. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And, yeah, thanks for meeting.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.